Hey everybody, Mike Miller with the Herald Times, coming to you from College Park, Maryland. With me for the first time this season, and really, I think the first time I've done your post game.
Yeah, you've been on Inside Indiana Overtime.
Alex McCarthy of Inside Indiana 24/7 Sports, kind enough to join me today. We're still here at in the press box at Byrd Stadium in Maryland. We're actually in the Maryland coaches room. Actually, it smells like sandwiches and defeat. But mostly sandwiches. It's
Right.
really the smell of sandwiches is really
It's very
overpowering
strong.
right here.
It really is. It's
They had a lot
room.
of sandwiches in here.
Yeah,
That happens when you're losing.
that happens when
Comfort food.
you end up giving up 44 points after leading 21-3.
Yeah. I blame nobody for turning this game off in the first 10 minutes when it was 21-3 because frankly it had the makings of feelings of oh my God, they're actually falling apart.
Yeah.
And they're doing that at Maryland, of all places. This is not a good
Right.
Maryland team. They're 2-9 now. They got some players, but not enough. And then they start the game 21-3 with Brandon Ross. I don't have it in front of me. He had
79.
79-yard touchdown,
Yeah.
second play of the game, and I think he had on his first 4 carries, he had something like 120, 140 yards.
Yeah.
It was something crazy.
It was insane.
And that happened. And then if anyone turned the game off, that's fine. I get it.
Right.
Do what you gotta
There were
do.
other games on that probably
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Indiana came back and kind of leaned on something Kevin Wilson had told him hours earlier. This was really interesting,
Really
actually.
bizarre.
Yeah. So before the game, they're at the team hotel, and they do the walkthroughs at the team hotel before they come to the stadium. And I'm guessing at some point, after the walkthrough, Wilson gives his team one last message before heading to the stadium. He says, "You guys get up 21-3. You fall behind 21-3. Keep playing. Keep coming. Don't stop. I mean, we get up. We get complacent. We get a little rattled, and we don't finish. You get behind, and it's tough to come back from
Right.
something like that." Well, they came back, and Wilson basically predicted almost the entire. He basically scripted it from that walkthrough.
Wilstradamus. Yeah.
No, never, never using that.
I tried.
But really, it was I think tied for the third largest comeback in program history.
Yeah, just really weird because, and you can see the games that he's referring to. I mean, you look back at the Penn State game on the road where they got behind early and just, in that game it was kind of a product of not having an offense. They didn't have Nate Sudfeld or Jordan Howard, and they didn't really have Jordan Howard today either, after the first
Three plays. 3 carries, 5 plays, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think he took himself out, or I don't know if he took himself out or he just kind of came out
limping and
So he goes to the stationary bike here on the sideline for about 10 minutes, and then they walk him into the locker room. He came back to the sideline, but never back to the game.
Yeah, it never looked like he was even getting ready to come back. No,
never
the
did.
Game. He didn't have his helmet on. He was standing next to Xander Diamant for a lot of the time. He was in the huddle before drives and things like that, but it was always Divine Redding or Mike Majette as the game went along. Or Alex Rodriguez, I think, started a drive.
Andrew Wilson was there in a little bit too, I think, right?
They got everyone in there.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Nate Sudfeld had dove in for a touchdooward. Redding was a career high, I believe, 130 yards on 24 carries. Big day for him to kind of come through. And Wilson said Howard may have been able to come back. It sounded actually like this was an aggravation of an injury, I think.
Yeah, because he was saying he was trying to practice through it this week, and he got glitched up on today, which whatever that really means.
Wilsonism, you love him.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that just means that he kind of wasn't feeling 100% with that knee coming into today, and it probably just didn't feel right on any of those first runs, and he was probably just saying come get me, bring Divine in. So they did a really good job kind of filling in for him because Redding has had kind of a tough year. He's been thrown into some situations where he's not really ready to be a featured back. He's not really ready to be a Jordan Howard, where you're going to rely on him for 30 carries a game, 35 carries a game. And, a lot of times fans on Twitter are just like, oh, why are they giving it to Redding up the middle again? It's just like, well, they sometimes they don't really have much of a choice. And he's kind of their biggest guy after Howard, and he's been thrown into some really tough situations. And today he didn't score, but he was able to kind of extend some drives and get them off to some good starts on drives too, which is huge for their momentum.
Yeah, and Maryland loaded the box a lot too. I mean, they
Yeah.
had a lot of guys in there kind of keying on that run, which kind of opened some one-on-one plays on the outside for Sudfeld. And I think one of the primary beneficiaries of that was Simi Cobbs, who had, oh my God, had 1 million yards. And many of it, 192, basically
Yeah.
1 million. 192 yards on a career-high 9 receptions, and a lot of those yards came after the catch
Yeah.
too. And this is from a guy who's really, believe it or not, still learning that position. He's not, he's a receiver. He played receiver sort of in high school, but he also played a lot of linebacker, some safety. He's a return guy. He's never really been a dedicated receiver until he got here, so he's never really had the instincts. He's never really, I guess, had the feel of the position. But today he looked really in control, really confident, and he made a lot of plays.
Yeah, he had a couple drops that were not great.
Still a work in progress.
But for the most part, I mean, he made a couple of really nice catches where he was covered and was able to, and finally kind of using that 6'4" frame of his to be able to box out some cornerbacks. And then, like you said, he showed some kind of impressive moves after the catch. Yeah, shimmy from Simi. Oh, I like it. Yeah.
Hashtag.
Yeah. But yeah, it was funny that there was a Maryland guy next to me. There's one catch where Cobbs took it caught it by the sideline and then cut around 3 guys to get down into the red zone, and one of the Maryland receivers next to me was like, "Oh, there's Jerry Rice again." Like, it was just like, okay, first, back off, pump the brakes on that a little bit, but still, he had a great showing today, and then Sudfeld had a huge game.
Yeah.
He, like you said, accounted for 5 touchdowns. He ran for 1, he threw for 4, including a really, really nice deep ball to Andre Booker. I think that was 59 yards, but it was one of the best that we've seen Sudfeld play ever. I would say probably. I mean, there's that stretch in the Rutgers game where he just seemed unstoppable when Indiana scored 52 points in less than 3 quarters, and then stopped playing after that, basically. But today he looked as poised, and the deep ball looked really, really good on a couple downfield throws, which is something that there have been a lot of drops over the past couple of seasons, but there have also been times where Sudfeld just doesn't really look like the class of the Big Ten quarterback he is. So that's certainly encouraging, and it seems like Indiana's starting to play together a little bit better and is starting to play really, really well down the stretch, which is not something we've seen out of Indiana in the past few years.
For you mentioned Andre Booker, Mitchell Page, Simi Cobbs, all those guys. Luke Timian made a catch.
Yeah.
The walk-on guy used to be at Oklahoma. He was a walk-on at Oklahoma State previously. Michael Cooper had a touchdown. For all of that, in the receiving game, another receiver beyond Simi Cobbs, may have been almost just as impressive for his flexibility. And that was Leon Thornton, who on Monday, what is that, 5 days ago, 6 days ago? He switches from receiver to cornerback because IU's so banged up at that position right now between, Andre Brown, Devontae Williams, some of the other guys at safety. They just need help in that secondary. And apparently on Monday they go to practice and Wilson tells Thornton, hey, we're switching you to corner. And Leon Thornton made his debut at cornerback today. I think he had 3 tackles, including, I think, 1 open field tackle.
Yeah, it was really nice.
His first one.
Yeah.
Really impressive. 3 tackles, and granted, this is a very, very lacking and unimpressive Maryland passing offense. I mean, Caleb Rowe, Indiana did not have an interception today, but I think they would have if Caleb Rowe would have found a way to stop throwing to his own bench, because he had so many of his interceptions were just to his own bench. I mean, just out of bounds over the sideline. But that all said, and understanding that this is not a very good Maryland passing attack, I mean, just the fact that kid could step in there on only a few days' notice, on a few days' preparation even, and play solidly, and Wilson said after the game that he gave a lot of recognition to the defense for responding, answering, and a lot of that recognition went to Leon Thornton for just being able to help the team. Yeah,
and that's something that a lot of guys on this team are really starting to not only accept their roles, but kind of excel in their roles and understand what they need to do. Because a lot of the problems for Indiana on defense, and they were there today, are guys on defense just not really making their play. They're trying to, they bite too much on a play fake, or they try and do a little bit too much, and then that allows Ezekiel Elliott to run for a long play, or any of those kind of things that have happened up until this game. But then they really just started shutting it down, and they really started playing together. They started playing with a lot of rhythm off each other. I mean, they were forcing 3 and outs, which led to Indiana's offense having short fields, and it's just, this is kind of the Indiana offense, or the Indiana team that we've seen little like bits and pieces of throughout the year, and they finally did it over a span of 3.5-ish quarters. And it's, like I said earlier, it's coming at a really good time of the year for them.
Yeah, outscored Maryland 44-7 over the final 50 minutes. Really impressive game from Indiana today. And it sets up an old Oak and Bucket game that has serious bowl implications. Well, bowl implications, period, for Indiana. They may have, just by getting this win, they put themselves in position to maybe even sneak in at 5-7, depending on if many of these bowls, I think it's a record 41 bowls this year. If they can fill all those spots, there is obviously the potential that Indiana could sneak in at 5-7. But you want to get that win at Purdue, you want to get that 6 and feel very good about it. And they got a shot next week. So we will catch up with you this week. Actually, I am headed to Maui in the morning.
In a few hours,
3 a.m. wake-up call, 3:30 wake-up call. But it's Maui. I'll do it. I'll do it. All right. Maui, and then we'll be back for the Bucket game next Saturday. Andy Graham will have you covered with football this week. I will be joining Tom Crean's Hoosiers tomorrow afternoon from there. Alex, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for you to walk on. You said that you're joining the Hoosiers tomorrow. That's exciting.
It's dumb. I'm ending this. Thanks, guys.